Hey, welcome back to the Board Game Closet. My name's Jimmy.
I'm Tim.
I'm Rod.
And today we're doing another Kickstarter preview for a game that's going to be out soon called Brides and Bribes. And Brides and Bribes.
Brides and Bribes.
Brides and Bribes. And so this is a Euro-style game, right? So lots of pieces, huge stuff. Rod, why don't you get us in and let's talk about the components.
Sure. Now the most attractive thing with the game is actually is the board itself, the size of it. And looks like there's just a million things happening with it when you first look at it. It's one of those games when you're walking by, you see it, you're like, I think I want to try that game out. It looks pretty good with all that stuff on there, and just things happening, that type of thing.
Yeah.
This being a Kickstarter, this of course is not the final version, so we don't know what the final version is going to be exactly. I mean, we can pretty much guess on some of the things we're seeing. So hopefully the board will stay this size,
Hope so, yeah.
which would be fantastic.
Yeah.
The cards themselves will hopefully stay, the size that they are, which makes them nice and
I think anything that's vinyl like this and the board, I think it'll switch over to cardboard, and then the cards, the actual cards will be similar.
Now those cards are a little small, but they couldn't be much larger just because of how much place they would take. This board would have to be about 6 feet in length, otherwise. And they're using meeples, which is Europe's favorite little which is fine. So all in all, I mean, when it comes to the pieces, I think they're on the right track. I just hope that like on certain things, it may be just thicker card stock, of course. That maybe some of the artwork could probably be touched up a little bit, maybe the carriages, that type of thing. But all in all, I mean the pieces look fine.
Way cool.
Yeah, all this artwork they said was changing because this is just placeholder. Because you can see like all of them look the same, so all this is changing. But these ones on here, these portraits and stuff, are mostly going to change the same because they got all that artwork in.
Yeah, all that individual. Yeah. Okay, Tim, talk to us about the rules. How hard or easy is it to learn Brides and Bribes?
All right, this is their initial. This cool reference sheet that they sent. It's very, very useful. It is kind of difficult just because there's so much to the game. So many pieces, so many interactions between the different things, and of course the iconography that's on the cards.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, you'll constantly be going back to learn about the iconography. It is kind of difficult to learn, but once you actually move through a phase, if you can get through it, it's going to be all right because you'll know. It's like, oh, so it's just this and stuff like that. It's like all it is this step and this step and then this step, right? It's just that there's so much involved in thinking about what's going to happen on the next step that it gets kind of involved when learning how to play. And you're like, at first you're like, why would I even do this? But then once you get to the third step or whatever, you're like, oh, okay, well that made sense because now I'm going to use that for the next turn.
The
for
play out,
and everything. And so, but basically, it explains it gives it even a little fluff about how this is, you're warring families. So you're kind of trying to control each area of the board. And it does a great job of just, like getting you into that mood where because you keep your little family on the little board in front of you, or you keep your deck and all that stuff.
Yeah, a tutorial video on how to play this would be super helpful.
Yeah.
To just get into the game right away, show you some things. I think that would be super helpful with this game because of how complicated it feels at first. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's give you a quick overview so you can kind of figure out if this is a game that you would like to back. So at the beginning of the game, each person is going to get a family, right? And then they get corresponding tokens that go on the board, pieces that go on the board. And then there's just spots on the board that you're going to be trying to go to, right? So the breakdown, the easiest way that you can understand this is that there are sections of town that are going to have people here that you can try to influence and try to win. And then there's things in this area that you could try to win. Like you could try to get money, or you could try to get a meeple that you can use in turn to trade for these like factories or markets, almost, whatever you could call those. And then you have victory points. And so there are like 6 sections, 5 sections on the board that you can go to that has that. So you have like a lord that you could get to be on your side that maybe you could send a bribe to. And then you have brides that you're trying to win and marry. And then you have these other people, right?
The characters
characters in the board, or it could, so these are characters that you could use on your turn. And so that's what you're going to try to be going for. You're either going to try to get these lords or these women or the stuff here and then these characters. And so on your turn, you get to place your carriage, right? And so you can place a carriage in a location, and that basically tells everybody on that turn, I'm going for something that's over here, right? And it's one of these things. And then the next person goes and they say, okay, well, I don't want you to just get it for free, I'm going to try to challenge you in that area. Or you can go to a different one, right? And so then you're going to be placing your carriage with something underneath it, right? And so this could be one of your dudes that's going to try to marry a person. It could be poison. Later on in the game, you're going to get that. It could be a hag that could be trying to mess up a marriage. And so no one really knows what's underneath here. They just know that you're going to be trying to either get something there or stop someone from getting something there. And then the other thing that you can do is you've got these boats that are coming in, and so you could say, okay, I'm going to place my boat here, and then each one of these, my carriage here, and each one of these locations gives you something different. So like this says that I can trade 1 meeple to get a meeple of any color, or this says I can pay 2 money to get a meeple of any color, or this one says I pay 3 and it goes up from there. Now to get a meeple of any color, it's more and more expensive. Yeah. And so the later on in the game that you go there, the more it's going to cost you. And then the only other thing that you could do is there's a turn order track. And so you could actually say, I'm last here, I want to be first next round. And so you put your guy there. And then these places right here, break ties, has to do with how the order of things play out throughout the game, things like that. And so this is really important during the game. So you might want to forego being the first one here to maybe change the turn order, or maybe that's the only thing you have left to do. And so you can go there.
Yeah. It's important to know that this is for the battles or the contests or whatever. The first player is always the person with this, and that just moves around.
Right, I'm sorry.
It doesn't affect the actual who goes first on the actual turn.
Yeah, because that rotates between people, right? Okay, and so then that's pretty much how that goes. So you're going to take turns going around, placing your carriage out, and then once you have placed your carriages out, either here, or change this, then the only other thing that you can do is you can continue to stack this pile, right? So you could add more and more things underneath here.
Just keep sliding characters under there in your stack and stuff.
Yeah, and so this kind of builds up, and you'll figure out as you play the game why that's so important, because just because Rod went over here, I don't want him to just get whatever he's going at, easily, so I want to stop him that round. And so you're going to be stacking the deck with a bunch of stuff, and he doesn't know what you're putting under there, if that's going to help you or hurt him, that kind of a thing. And so that really plays into that whole feel of Brides and Bribes, because you don't know, is he trying to win the heart of this lady, or is he trying to mess me over, that kind of a thing. So
yeah, the secret machinations of the different families within the area. And so that's pretty cool the way that plays out.
Yeah, and so there's a victory point tracker here that goes up. So there's different ways that you can get victory points in the game. You can take the actual token off of here if you want to do that. When you marry, you get victory points. And so this is kind of a cool thing. And so I'm going to get victory points here for marrying this lady. So I guess what do they call it? The dowry?
Right.
Yeah, so you're going to get 2 money and 2 victory points for marrying this lady here, and then she becomes a bride, right? And then you place her...
Well, you keep her here, and your guy goes on top of it, and then you get these 3...
Those 3 points.
As well, so you get 5 total for marrying that.
And then it takes it away when that marriage goes away, right? Yeah, so you're going to lose. So say somebody...
You lose these. I don't think you lose those.
Yeah, you'll lose the victory points that you got for having this marriage, which is a really cool thematic thing where that marriage fell apart, and so you don't have influence anymore, so you're not as powerful in this community, that kind of a thing. And so that's cool. So you're going to want to do that throughout the game. So there's a little back and forth where you could say, hey, they're 3 points ahead, but all I have to do is break up that marriage, and now I gain 3 points in theory, that kind of a thing. High points for anybody? What's your thoughts? Or for somebody that might want to back this game, what would be something positive for them if they're looking for this style board game?
I mean, for Euro gamers, just looking at the board and the complexity and, moving the pieces around, this is actually more interesting than some of the others, especially like Lords of Waterdeep, which was kind of a depressing game. This one actually beats that soundly, because if you stick with the theme of you're thinking you're a conniving family of basically old gangsters, moving around and taking control of territories and stuff. or just trying to get influence in the territories. It is pretty cool, in that effect. And the battles and the way they played out were interesting once you get the hang of it. Because the first time you play through, you would go put the wrong guys in there, and you're like, oh,
that didn't work.
Now that doesn't make sense. And then like the fact that you could just bribe your way into the influence that you really needed. So
right.
Yeah, the hidden aspect of it's nice. I like that because that's what for me part of the game that I really enjoyed was the fact that you're either trying to stop the marriage or you're actually trying to win the girl over, and you don't have no clue what the other guy's doing.
Yeah,
that was a pretty neat aspect of it.
The Eurogame side in me is like how you get these meeples, right, in each one of these locations. And then you have to trade them to get these marketplace type things. So this is a tailor shop or a notary or apothecary, jewelry. So you're getting these things, and now this is a place for you. And so each round you could be getting this item that now goes into your stack that you can use. So it's that whole thing that Eurogamers love, where you're getting this to do that, so that in the end your plan works out. And so for me, I really like that. So how you can buy those, and then these have victory points associated with them too, and they go down. So the quicker that you get to this, the more victory points that you're going to get, and then they're less and less valuable as far as victory points go.
Yeah.
So there you go. So check it out on Kickstarter.
Right.
See if this is a game that you want to back. I'm sure they've got a lot more videos and tutorials, so you can figure out maybe the real details of how to play this game more than what we gave you today. So, as always,
support your local hobby shop.
There you go.
Or your local Kickstarter, or whatever Kickstarter.
Right. Local, regional, global.
Exactly.